In today's video, ICE agents have switched up their tactics, and it's pissing off LA Mayor Karen Bass. Also, Apple CEO Tim Cook made a major announcement yesterday in the Oval Office, and President Trump shares a cryptic message about Howard Stern. So in all of these videos, we'll show you what both sides are saying and give you the bottom line.
Fox News exclusively embedding with Customs and Border Protection for an immigration raid in Los Angeles. DHS is honing in on a particular neighborhood where it says an infamous gang was formed. Matt Finn is live from LA with more on this story. Hey, Matt.
Hi, Jackie. It was called Operation Trojan Horse, and DHS tells us it was the first time they used unmarked rental trucks during an immigration enforcement here in Los Angeles. DHS drove those trucks into a parking lot of a Home Depot near MacArthur Park. One of the Border Patrol drivers apparently did pose as someone looking for work, but then immigration agents came out of the trucks and dozens of people scattered. 16 people were taken into custody. We are working on confirming their information right now. Now, agents got in and out in a matter of minutes. DHS says they did surveillance of this area prior, and they used the rental trucks because they claim there's too many scouts in this area.
All right, so I actually find this to be funny and entertaining because this is almost a game, right? Meaning they have scouts in the area tipping off illegal migrants, okay? And so ICE has to say, all right, well, if that's your guys' move, here's our move. We'll just show up in rental trucks that you don't even know we're in the back of, and we'll catch you in that way. And this is all happening with a TRO that's been issued, and we'll get to that here shortly. But here is the woke statement from Penske, and I don't believe the owner of Penske obviously approved this message. I really don't think so. Penske strictly prohibits the transportation of people in the cargo area of its vehicles under any circumstances. But there's only one problem, and that is in 2023, border agents found 58 migrants crammed in the back of a Penske truck that looked like human smuggling. And of course, Penske never released a statement after that. But of course, they ended up saying that the company was not made aware that its trucks would be used in today's operation and did not authorize this. Penske will reach out to DHS and reinforce its policy to avoid improper use of its vehicles in the future. Now, why don't we hear from the mayor of Los Angeles, because she completely loses her mind. Take a listen.
It is hard for me to believe that that raid was consistent with the court order that said you cannot racially profile, you cannot racially discriminate. What I saw on the video, what I saw on the pictures that were sent to me looked like the same guys chasing people through a Home Depot. Yeah. This is something that is not acceptable, and we are not going to stand for it in Los Angeles.
All right, so from the perspective of the Los Angeles mayor, she believes they are still racially profiling. Now, obviously, she's operating from the premise that they have been racially profiling, which I don't actually buy into, because I know ICE is using intelligence, they use surveillance. I mean, it's not like they're just doing this willy-nilly. They're doing their homework, okay? They're following the law. And it's not difficult, which as we witnessed, to get a lower court judge to issue a TRO claiming that ICE should not be allowed to racially profile. I mean, that's not really a win for the Los Angeles mayor, but she was treating it like it was. And as you guys can see, it has not stopped ICE. Now, because of the tactics that ICE is using currently right now, people are already questioning, is this a legitimate way to do things? Take a listen to what the Border Patrol chief had to say.
Now, I talked with Border Patrol Chief Greg Bavino and asked for his response to critics who say enforcements like this are just targeting people looking for work.
And when we look at the damage that unmitigated immigration has caused to this country, look at the Jacqueline Nungareys and the Kate Steinleys and all those that have been hurt, maimed, and killed by illegal aliens. I think they need to redirect their attention and maybe think a little harder before they say things like that.
Okay, so before we move any further, please listen to this special message from today's sponsor, Chapter. If you or someone you know is seeking to get on Medicare, then you really need to pay attention here, because there's no question that it's frustrating, in fact, confusing at times. And I actually believe it's on purpose, especially when I heard that the Department of Justice is suing the top 3 brokers in the country for kickbacks. Why? Because they want to steer you into the wrong plans in order to get paid. And here's the bottom line to it. Chapter has unbiased, independent Medicare advisors, salary-based, not looking to waste your time or your money. The call with them is totally free, and they will walk you step by step to find the plan that fits your needs. So call Chapter today, 323-431-5200. Get the answers you need so you can get the Medicare plan you deserve. Again, that number is 323-431-5200. This call could literally save you thousands of dollars. And that's a good point from him, which really sums up the position of people like Karen Bass and Democrats. They believe all these migrants you see on the street, even though they may be committing crimes on their off time, they're just looking for work. They're just looking to provide for their family. Yeah, but when they're not at work or they don't get work that day, they might also be committing crimes, because a lot of these people, when they've been picked up, it's been proven they already had crimes or convictions, or they've done heinous things like sexual assault and rape, et cetera, et cetera. So they should be careful with their language. Now, if you guys want to see something entertaining, listen to how deflated MSDNC sounds when they have to report on this story. Take a look.
All right, here we go. A new tactic in Donald Trump's immigration crackdown is getting a lot of attention today in the state of California. According to the LA Times, this morning, U.S. Border Patrol agents were waiting in the back of a Penske rental truck that pulled up to a crowd of migrant workers outside a California Home Depot. When the workers approached the truck, guess what? The agents popped out, and they arrested as many people as they could, which was basically 16. The Border Patrol selection chief called it Operation Trojan Horse.
Yeah, so you just have to love it when you see the frustration from people on MSDNC, because ICE is doing exactly what they've been tasked to do. The president is doing exactly what he was mandated to do. You can criticize the strategy and the tactics, which is fine. I'm not telling people don't criticize. At the end of the day, which I find to be the most important thing here, it's about results. And if the president and ICE and DHS and whoever else is in charge of these operations is finding a better way to get things done, then that's all good for me, especially if it doesn't break the law, which we didn't see anything in here that actually suggests that ICE is breaking the law. Now, the other thing that's interesting is the owner of Penske was just in the White House. Listen to this.
This could put the company's founder and chairman, Roger Penske, in kind of a tight spot. This man was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Donald Trump back in 2019. He donated more than $1 million to his campaign in 2024. And Penske was back at the White House visiting Trump with some of his auto racers just 4 months ago.
So maybe this isn't really going to go the way that Democrats want. Now, that statement from Penske is what you would expect when the president and the chairman is not involved in the daily operations of the company. I mean, let's just get real. And I think at a certain level, they just put out the statement as a knee-jerk reaction. And also, I think Democrats are finally accepting the reality of these deportations. Take a listen.
Our nightcap is still here. All right, Sam. One top Border Patrol agent there warned and said, "We are not leaving." Is this not a message to California? We're not just looking at people on the mean streets that we think are gang members. We're looking at people going to work to do physical labor jobs that a whole lot of other people are not going to.
Yeah, and if they hadn't gotten that message yesterday, they should have, because they've been doing this for weeks now.
And they will continue to do it. And that's why I believe that these Democrat mayors and governors should just stop fighting the inevitable, okay? Because the more they fight against this, the more they're not focused on the things that would actually build credibility for that party again. Now, I'm not advising Democrats whatsoever. And I encourage them to continue to get distracted. But ultimately, it is about the safety of the American people. So if they are distracted with the wrong things, they're going to put American lives at risk. And that's what we've seen in Los Angeles. If she does not like the tactics, if she thinks the tactics are dangerous, then Karen Bass should be working with ICE officials to find better ways and to assist them. What if she just said, hey, local PD, if you pick up an illegal alien who committed a crime, hand them over to ICE immediately. And if she was smart, like President Trump, she'd work out a deal where it's like, hey, listen, you guys won't touch Home Depot properties as long as we continue to hand over illegal aliens to you that have committed crimes. Deal? I mean, at a minimum, that would have been a smart smart play to do. But again, they have Trump derangement syndrome, and that's just not going to happen. Okay, so next story. President Trump once again proves that his tariff strategy works because Tim Cook was in the Oval Office yesterday making a huge announcement about more investments into America. Take a listen.
Apple CEO Tim Cook joined the president in the White House yesterday. The tech giant is committing $600 billion to U.S. manufacturing, a $100 billion increase. Several major chip producers are planning on building parts here as well. Commerce Secretary Lutnick says the Trump administration is renegotiating the Bipartisan CHIPS Act with the goal of getting bigger manufacturing commitments.
Okay, so here's what you guys need to know about this story. You're going to find that on the Democrat side, they're going to downplay this announcement. We'll get into more of that later. And then as it pertains to the White House, they're keeping their promises. I mean, they're putting these companies in a position where they got to make a serious decision here. You either going to invest in our economy, which is going to create more jobs for the working class, or you're going to pay for it. And I think that's fair. Now, here's what Tim Cook had to say. Take a listen.
Earlier this year, we made our largest ever spending commitment, $500 billion to the U.S. over the next 4 years. That's already yielding results. Earlier this year, we broke ground on a new factory in Houston to make advanced AI servers. And just last month, the very first test unit rolled off that factory's line, proudly made in America. President Trump shared some kind words about that work, but he also asked us to think about what more we could commit to doing. And Mr. President, we took that challenge very seriously. I'm glad to be here with you today, and I'm very proud to say that today we're committing an additional $100 billion to the United States, bringing our total U.S. investment to $600 billion over the next 4 years. As a part of this, we're launching Apple's American Manufacturing Program. It will spur even more production right here in America for critical components used in Apple products all around the world.
The biggest point about this announcement, I think Charlie Kirk actually touched on it very well. This is a call to every American company. Step up like Apple is here. Go big for America, dream here, design here, build here, succeed here, bring back made in the USA, be a part of the golden age. Now, what we are witnessing is the idea that there is no such thing as I can't, right? Apple, in the beginning, I'm sure put up a fight, okay? No, there's no way we can build our iPhones in America. No, there's no way we can. And then what happened? They moved their factory from China to India. And now they're going to make sure that the glass that is put onto the iPhone is manufactured here in America from end to end point. I mean, that's astonishing.
And we're thrilled to announce that we've already signed new agreements with 10 companies across America to do just that. First, with today's announcements, I'm proud to say that Apple is leading the creation of an end-to-end silicon supply chain right here in America, from design to equipment to wafer production to fabrication to packaging. In Texas, we're working with manufacturers like Texas Instruments, Global Wafers America, and Applied Materials. We're working with Amcor in Arizona and Broadcom and Global Foundries in New York. Thanks to President Trump's vision, and with his help in his first term, we also led the way to bring TSMC to Arizona by committing to be their first and largest customer. Today, they're producing tens of millions of chips for Apple using one of the most advanced process technologies in America today. We're going to keep working with our suppliers to move even more of this incredibly advanced work to America. And this year alone, American manufacturers are on track to make 19 billion chips for Apple in 24 factories across 12 different states.
Now, there's two sides to this story because, as you guys know, I like to give you the full picture. The left is claiming that Tim Cook is kissing President Trump's you-know-what and sucking up to the president because he doesn't want any problems. Now, the polar opposite to that is what I'm about to read to you. For the first time ever, 100% of the cover glass on iPhone and Apple Watch units sold worldwide will be made in the United States for the first time. Corning, which is the company that Apple partners with, will now dedicate this entire facility, which is in Kentucky, to manufacturing for Apple, which will help increase Corning's manufacturing and engineering workforce in Kentucky by 50%. Now, I don't care what you believe, whether Trump bullied Tim Cook into doing this, whether Apple is just trying to avoid problems. At the end of the day, who wins? The American worker, the working class. They're going to increase the workforce by 50%. Are you kidding me? Now, to add on to the point that Democrats believe Tim Cook is really bending the knee to President Trump, and they're just downplaying this huge announcement, listen to how MSDNC reacts to this. Take a look.
Well, let's talk about Tim Cook, Philip. Did you see the custom plaque that he gave to the President of the United States? I think we can show it to you. It's a 24-karat gold base. It has, you can see, a very specific kind of plaque, right, of course, engraved with the President's name, was given. He also gave Trump what he really wanted, right? That promise that Gabe just mentioned, $100 billion in investments in the U.S. But again, is it realistic to say, well, manufacturing is coming back? Like Tim Cook, powerful guy, can he snap his fingers and all of a sudden all the products that they get from abroad are made in the United States?
Yeah, no, I mean, he can't snap his fingers and do that. And certainly, you know, it is the case that a lot of manufacturers could build facilities here. Yeah. We've seen that happen. And we saw it happen during Trump's first term. There are a lot of places that said, oh, we're going to bring this back. Didn't always happen. We remember Foxconn in Wisconsin, this big splashy thing Trump said was going to happen and ended up not happening. I think what we see there, though, is really, really indicative because it is the showering of gifts upon Donald Trump. It is the giving him the talking points he can use. It almost looks
like an award, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's currying favor. Yeah. Let's call it what it is. It's currying favor in order to try and make sure that the tariffs that are on Apple products can potentially be lessened. All of this is about negotiations at the whim of the president. So if you get on the president's good side and he says, okay, well, you know what, Apple, your stuff coming in, you don't have to worry about the tariffs anymore. That's a win for Apple. Is it a win for American consumers? Is it a win for the process? No, but this is why Apple's doing what it's doing.
Now, during this press conference in the Oval Office, he also took questions, that is the president, and some of them we want to react to, starting with this idea that J.D. Vance, the vice president, was going to sit down with top level officials to discuss the Epstein case, which doesn't really make sense to me, but I want you guys to hear the reaction.
The two Kevins, very good. Mr. President, is Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw a report today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
On that, look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay?
Now, I find it disturbing that we live in a time where a publication like the Wall Street Journal can pretty much put out information that has not been verified, fact-checked, or anything of that nature. 99.9% speculation or opinion-based. Now, of course, when an article is written, usually they'll tell you it's an opinion. I know that. But when you're talking about the president of the United States and you're making up these stories about there's a secret meeting, can you at least provide the receipts for that statement? And that's where the media has gone wrong and why nobody trusts them anymore, which maybe is why they don't really care. So it's not like they have to prove anything to anyone because they can just get away with what they're saying. Now, here's the president also reacting to a question about Elon Musk that I found to be, I would say, a presidential answer from the president. Take a look.
A new Gallup poll says that Elon Musk is the most unpopular public figure in the country right now. I'm wondering, do you miss having him around the White House, or is that poll accurate?
I don't know if the poll's accurate. I think he's a good person. I think he had a bad moment, really bad moment. But he's a good person. I believe that.
Obviously, the world would probably be better, including our country, if Elon Musk and President Trump got along. And they were able to use the resources of Elon Musk and his genius to obviously further the advancement of the country. So in the end, I like that statement from the president because, again, them beefing is more of a distraction than anything else. Okay. Now, the next little clip here for us to take a look at is what the president had to say about Stephen Colbert. And some people are taking this as a warning that the other late night TV shows are probably going to get canceled here in the near future. Take a look.
Parting ways. Do you think the hate Trump business model that's been in the entertainment business is going out of business because it's not popular with the American people?
Well, it hasn't worked, and it hasn't worked really for a long time. And I would say pretty much from the beginning, Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here. I could go outside in the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going. I don't know, but I would imagine because they get, Colbert has better ratings than Kimmel or Fallon. You know that. Howard Stern, it's a name I haven't heard. I used to do a show. We used to have fun. But I haven't heard that name in a long time. What happened? He got terminated?
Yeah, they're going to separate ways because I think what they're offering salary-wise is real low for what he's getting.
You know when he went down?
Whenever you want.
You know when he went down? No, before. When he endorsed Hillary Clinton, he lost his audience.
Right.
People said, give me a break. He went down when he endorsed Hillary Clinton.
Mr. President. All right, now here's what you need to know up front. Howard Stern and SiriusXM has not actually responded to this story. So in my opinion, this is all speculation at best. Now, two of the highest paid performers in two of the highest profile positions in media, Stephen Colbert with an annual budget of $100 million, and Howard Stern, who was rumored to have made $120 million since 2020 and as much as $2.1 billion since he first switched to satellite radio with a groundbreaking deal in 2004, will both serve out the remainder of their contracts and won't be renewed. Now, I did at one point in my life listen to Howard Stern. In fact, I was more obsessed with his comedians that he had on standby there, where they would do a lot of prank calls and stuff like that. That's actually what attracted me to Howard Stern. But that was like decades ago when I was younger and I was in the military. And I loved just listening because it made me laugh. That was the only enjoyment I ever got from Howard Stern. Now, there's no question his resume and how long he's been doing podcasting. He's one of the original. But when you come out and you say that you hate all people, anybody, and you won't even let them on your show if they support Trump, you lost me. And I think this is just karma. When you send out hate to other people, you're going to get it back, okay?
All right, so after Joy Reid, Jim Acosta, Don Lemon, Mehdi Hasan, Stephen Colbert, we finally arrive at Howard Stern. The now 71-year-old shock jock who lost his spine to the affliction known as white guilt. Stern used to have a very bold and pretty hilarious radio show. It had its moments. But sources are now telling the U.S. Sun that Howard Stern's show is getting canceled once his $500 million Sirius XM 5-year contract ends this fall. The amount of money that this man has made is the really shocking thing. One insider says Sirius is planning to make him an offer, but they don't intend for him to take it, adding Sirius and Stern are never going to meet on the money he's going to want. It's no longer worth the investment. Now, Stern once prided himself on being like the most offensive guy in radio, but at some point, and you can see a video of him there, that's blackface. It's the thing you're not allowed to do these days, right? At some point, Howard Stern bent the knee completely to the radical left agenda, and he went seriously woke, and the show has limped on since.
Yeah, so this whole Howard Stern situation, that was a great summary, by the way, and I have one more clip to show you. Reminds me of another individual just as big as Howard Stern, but in another genre, by the name of Eminem, Marshall Mathers, okay? Both of these individuals made a career being ultra offensive, made a career screaming about free speech, made a career screaming about F the federal government, F the elites, right? And they focused on what made them great. Then all of a sudden, the 180 happened, which means they did go woke, as we know, and they lost sight of what actually made them great, in my opinion. And so that's what this story actually reminds me of. And it's just really a tragedy. Just be who you've always been. You don't need to become someone you're not. And I quite frankly believe they just have Trump derangement syndrome. That's really what's going on. They hate President Trump that much that they're willing to change everything that made them great, okay, and go woke. Now, here's additional details on Howard Stern's situation. Take a look.
But Rick, what did you think of this?
Well, first of all the butts to kiss, excuse me, Kamala Harris, really? I used to love and respect Howard Stern. That guy was amazing until he wasn't. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know why he turned that corner and became so lame. But it's mind-boggling how much money he was being paid. And what I've heard is that Sirius was losing $10 million a year on his contract alone. And that's not a winning formula. But to pay him $100 million, and I think he was working 3 days a week and taking 3 months off every year, the whole thing is just, it was excessive and ridiculous. And he lost whatever he had. He just didn't have it anymore.
All right, so this takes us to getting your guys' reaction in the comments section below. Let's start with the Howard Stern situation. Did you ever listen to Howard Stern during your life? Did you ever find any enjoyment? Do you agree with my assessment that he used to be great because he was authentic? He stood on the principles of free speech and in some cases being outrageous, we know that, and very controversial, one of the originals. But because he went woke and pretty much said that half the country he would never talk to, never support, would never let on his show, don't you think that's really the reason why his show is ending? I don't care if it's canceled, if it won't be renewed or he quit. At the end of the day, his show is coming to an end. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Also, do you agree with the tactics from ICE agents in Los Angeles? They're having to hide in the back of rental trucks because there are scouts now on the ground in LA neighborhoods to help out illegal migrants. Let me know if you agree with ICE's thinking around that. And just give me your overall thoughts about Tim Cook and the additional investment into our country, particularly Kentucky. Just give me all your thoughts in the comments section below. Now, in our next video, things went terribly wrong during a Democrat press conference from the governor of Massachusetts. Now, we're talking about this congressional district fight that continues to drag on. And she believes that she has the proper threat against Texas. But you got to see how it doesn't work for her very well. If you're interested in that video, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.